Did you hear about the rookie who just made the WNBA $3 billion? Yeah, you heard that right. Caitlin Clark's not just changing the game, she's rewriting the whole playbook. And we're about to show you how this Iowa sensation is shaking up women's basketball like never before. Let's rewind to Caitlin Clark's college days at Iowa. Picture this, a young woman with a basketball in her hands, ready to change the game forever. Clark wasn't just good, she was on another level. Her shooting skills? Pure magic. We're talking Stephen Curry level accuracy from way downtown. But here's the thing, women's basketball had been fighting an uphill battle for years. Low viewership, lack of media coverage, you name it. The struggle was real. So when Clark stepped onto the court, nobody could have predicted what was about to happen. Game after game, Clark lit up the scoreboard. She wasn't just scoring points, she was capturing hearts and minds across the nation. People who'd never watched women's basketball before were suddenly tuning in just to see what Clark would do next. You might be wondering, what made her so special? It wasn't just her insane three-point shots or her court vision. It was the way she played the game. Clark brought an electricity, a passion that was contagious. Every time she touched the ball, fans held their breath, waiting for something amazing to happen. And boy, did she deliver. Clark's performances weren't just impressive, they were historic. She led the NCAA in scoring, breaking records left and right. But more than that, she was changing the conversation around women's basketball. Remember how we said women's basketball was struggling for attention? Well, Clark flipped that script. Suddenly, everyone was talking about her games. Social media was buzzing with Clark highlights. Sports analysts who'd barely given women's basketball a second thought were now singing her praises. But the real game changer? The 2023 NCAA championship game. This wasn't just any game. This was Caitlin Clark's moment to shine on the biggest stage. And shine she did. The result, a mind-blowing 9.9 million viewers tuned in to watch. Let that sink in for a second. 9.9 million. That's not just a lot of people. That's a record-breaking audience for women's college basketball. In one night, Clark and her team showed the world that women's basketball could pull in the kind of numbers usually reserved for men's sports. This wasn't just a win for Clark or for Iowa. This was a turning point for women's basketball as a whole. Suddenly, the skeptics who said women's sports couldn't draw an audience were silenced. The naysayers who claimed women's basketball wasn't exciting enough, they were eating their words. But here's the kicker, this was just the beginning. Clark's college career was coming to an end, but her impact on the sport was just getting started. As she prepared to enter the WNBA, the entire league was buzzing with anticipation. Now let's talk about the Caitlin Clark effect. This isn't just some catchy phrase, it's a phenomenon that's shaking up the entire WNBA. We're seeing packed arenas, families, and young girls showing up in droves, all to catch a glimpse of Clark in action. It's like nothing the league has ever seen before. But hold up, let's rewind for a second. The WNBA hasn't always had it easy. For years, they've been fighting an uphill battle. Low attendance, minimal media coverage, struggling to get the respect and attention they deserve. It's been tough, no doubt about it. So what changed? How did we go from empty seats to sold out games? 2 words, Caitlin Clark. This girl isn't just playing basketball. She's putting on a show every time she steps on the court, and people are taking notice. We're talking about a rookie who's bringing in viewers like never before. Families who never watched women's basketball are now season ticket holders. Young girls are begging their parents to take them to games, dreaming of being the next Caitlin Clark. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Caitlin Clark effect isn't just filling seats, it's filling bank accounts. The WNBA just landed a massive new contract, we're talking 11 years, up to $3 billion. Let that sink in for a second. $3 billion? That's not just a lot of money, that's a game-changing amount of cash. And you know what's wild? A big chunk of that is thanks to Caitlin Clark. Her star power, her ability to draw crowds and viewers. It's all part of why the WNBA is suddenly worth so much more. We're seeing a sixfold increase in value compared to the last contract. That's not just growth, that's an explosion. But wait, there's more. It's not just about the money. The Caitlin Clark effect is changing how people see women's basketball. Suddenly, major networks are lining up to broadcast games. ESPN, NBC, Amazon, they're all in on the action. Why? Because they know people will tune in to watch Clark play. This increased visibility, it's huge for the league. More eyeballs mean more fans, more merchandise sales, more everything. It's a snowball effect, and Caitlin Clark gave it the first push down the hill. You might be wondering, is one player really making that big of a difference? The answer is a resounding yes. Clark isn't just a great player, she's a transformative force. She's changing the way people think about women's basketball. She's proving that women's sports can be just as exciting, just as worth watching as men's. And here's the kicker, she's just getting started. This is Clark's rookie season. Imagine what she'll do as she gets more experience, as she continues to develop her game. The potential is mind-blowing, but let's be clear, this isn't just about Caitlin Clark. She's opened the door, sure, but now it's up to the rest of the league to step through it. We're seeing other players step up their game, feeding off the energy Clark brings. The whole league is elevating. Alright, let's talk about Caitlin Clark off the court, because this girl isn't just changing the game, she's changing the whole culture of women's sports. And it all starts with a little deal she just signed. Well, maybe not so little. We're talking about a Nike contract worth $28 million over 8 years. That's not just big, it's record-breaking. No women's basketball player has ever landed a deal this massive. And get this, it includes her own signature shoe. That's right, Caitlin Clark is about to join the ranks of LeBron and Kobe with her very own kicks. But here's where things get really interesting. There's talk that Caitlin's jersey sales are through the roof. We're not just talking WNBA numbers here. We're talking about sales that might be rivaling some NFL stars. Now, we can't confirm this 100%, but the fact that we're even having this conversation, that's huge. Think about it. When was the last time you heard anyone talking about a WNBA player's jersey sales in the same breath as NFL stars? It just doesn't happen, or at least it didn't. Until Caitlin Clark came along. This isn't just about money or merchandise, it's about something much bigger. Caitlin Clark is reshaping how people see women's sports. She's proving that a female athlete can be just as marketable, just as exciting to watch as any male star. And the impact? It's massive. We're talking about the potential for Clark to generate an additional $50 million annually for the WNBA from media rights alone. That's not chump change. That's game-changing money that could transform the entire league. But here's the kicker. For all the buzz, for all the jersey sales, for all the impact she's having, Caitlin Clark's rookie salary is around $77,000. Yeah, you heard that right. The player who might be worth billions to the league is making less than some entry-level office jobs. It's a stark reminder of the challenges women's sports still face. On one hand, we've got this explosive growth, this unprecedented interest. On the other, we've got a pay structure that's struggling to keep up. But maybe that's exactly why Caitlin Clark matters so much. She's not just a great player, she's a symbol of what's possible. She's showing the world that women's sports can draw crowds, can drive sales, can be must-see TV. And here's the thing, she's just getting started. This is Caitlin Clark's rookie year. Imagine what she could do in 5 years, in 10 years. The potential is mind-boggling. So yeah, Caitlin Clark signed a big deal with Nike. She might be selling jerseys like crazy, but that's just the beginning. What she's really selling is a vision of what women's sports can be. She's showing us a future where female athletes are household names, where women's games are primetime events, where young girls can dream of not just playing pro ball, but becoming global superstars.